Hello, everyone. This is Raution, Jaiswal, CEO and co founder of InsuredMine, and you are listening to the 30 Minutes with Insurance CEO podcast, the show that is designed to inspire growth and impact so you can create the best version of your agency by learning from the leading agency CEOs. This one is special as we bring our first female CEO. Today, we are talking about how you start, build, and grow an agency with Melissa Stallings, as we call her with her lovely name, Missy. Welcome,
Because
welcome
you
to the
know me well, and Raution knows me well.
yeah. Um, I could not have picked a better speaker and a guest to the show as than her, as because she is a minority, like many of us, but the minority here is I refer it from perspective of being a female CEO in insurance world is being a minority. Let's hear from her how she crossed the chasm and made a name for herself. Please welcome Melissa Stallings, CEO Stallings Insurance.
The crowd goes, wow, woo! Just
How
kidding.
are you doing, Melissa?
I'm doing so wonderful, Raution. I'm honored and privileged to be on your podcast, episode 2.
Yes, that's correct. That's correct. Um,
Awesome.
So as you know, the flow is, if you want to quickly just want to say and introduce yourself to everybody, and then we will dive into those ice-breaking questions in a second. But yeah, please go ahead, introduce yourself.
Well, Melissa Stallings with Stallings Insurance Agency. I remember meeting Raution because he was doing a photo shoot. He was offering headshots at a secure risk conference, and I was not yet a InsuredMine customer at the time. And he offered me a free headshot. I walked in, he's like, "Are you an InsuredMine customer?" I was like, "No, not yet." And he was like, "Give her a headshot, people." So, and we were still negotiating with Secure Risk too at the time. So we weren't even a Secure Risk partner or an InsuredMine agent. And he took a chance on me, Roshan.
So
And
are you
so
saying that headshot got you that deal?
I know, right? You need to do that again. That was smart. I love
Yes.
the marketing, but Kiara too also made an impact. But anyways, yeah. So I've had the agency for 14 years. Started at Liberty Mutual. I have 4 kids in Douglasville, Georgia, west of the city between Alabama and Atlanta. You'll find Douglasville right there at Six Flags, and I just love taking this industry by storm and really being different and making it fun, adding energy. I just got done doing some dips and jumping jacks for
Oh my
real. That's what we
goodness.
do every hour is something active. So
Well, by now it's very obvious and evident the amount of energy that we're gonna see from Melissa is just off the roof. So you're aware of that. Let me start with that question. What do you have for breakfast? And what
I,
today?
I actually don't really eat breakfast. I know that sounds strange, but I by accident I do intermittent fasting. I'm a little bit of a night owl, but I'm also a morning person, which means I used to only get 6 hours of sleep. Now it's extended. I get more like 7 or 8 now that I'm aging. But this morning when I was prepping for this podcast, I drink. It's like a vitamin drink. It's like a mix with GABA and a bunch of other vitamins and stuff. It does have some energy in it, but it's natural energy. I'm holding this up because it's
Yeah,
leftover
you
stuff from this morning
understand.
because I left it on my desk. There was a fly in my office and I kept trying to kill it and I could it landed in my drink and I did not realize it because it stopped flying around. I did not realize it until I get this far into it and it's floating.
Oh
So for
my
breakfast
God.
today I had fly water.
Now we know, guys, how it's
Now you know.
coming from.
I get the energy from flies. Fly juice.
Awesome, awesome. All right, man. Now it could not have got to a better start than a fly water drink. All right.
Uh,
Tell us a little bit about how would you define your agency, from
mm.
segmentation, from size, PNC, commercial, life and health, premium, whatever you want to share.
Well, I'll start with my mission statement, which is very impactful because we worked very hard on it with it as a team and alongside Stephen Covey, um, Seven Habits of Highly Successful People. He also wrote How to Write Your Own Personal Mission Statement. So we used that book to write our agency mission statement. We've all memorized it. Here we go. Ready?
Yes.
We are faithfully committed to serving our clients with the most polished insurance coverage based on their needs. We strive to positively impact our community near and far while glorifying God, working hard for our families, and having fun.
Whoa.
So, in that mission statement, you have our values and our brand. Our values is positive, polished, and committed, and our brand, family, faith, fun. Family comes first. God also comes first along with family, and then we like to have lots of fun. So we're at work so much. Insurance is so boring, and when you talk to people about insurance, they're like, ugh. And we just try to make it fun for people, and we try to make the best interaction of the day. I want my employees to love coming to work. When vendors like InsuredMine see us, I want them to be like, "Oh yeah, there's Stallings Insurance, our favorite client." And we might not always be the biggest or provide the most value, but you're always gonna have the best time with us, and that's what life's about. So I hire based on those values and brand, and I've fired one person based on that, my only male ever. We're all female. There's 7 of us right now, and I have 2 virtual assistants. We're a heavy personal lines agency because I got in the business. My husband got me in the business. I was looking for not having a 2-hour commute one way when we first got married, and he was in the mortgage business. And I was like, let's find a symbiotic relationship. And so I looked at insurance, I looked at real estate, I looked at the mortgage business, and I landed on insurance because it wasn't so tied to yet another recession. I started my agency in 2008. So winter is my season, and I will not be denied. I love the winter, and I love a recession because that's when I started my agency. So we thrive in the winter, and we're ready for it. So yeah, and I love innovation. I love collaboration. I love being at the forefront of companies like InsuredMine that um, want to work with their agencies and like, what do you need? What can we do better? And you tell them, and then they actually do it. That has been so cool for us to see. Like, look at that button. We recommended that, or look at that. We recommended that. So
Energy, guys. Forget about the button.
the energy dance
Oh,
around.
there you go. Um,
So
no, I'm gonna come back to that. I love
yeah.
that. You guys are all female
Mm-hmm.
uh, employees. That's awesome. I don't know if we can even try and accomplish that, but you guys are already doing it. That's so awesome.
Oh, by accident.
Well, you are
Mm-hmm.
here. You are.
Yeah.
And you already mentioned about the start of the agency. So talk to us a little bit about when did you start the agency and the growth patterns. How
Mm.
successfully you have been able to grow the agency.
So how I met you, through Secure Risk, Big I, SNA, Southeastern Network Agencies is a smaller network that's a member of Secure Risk, and then IAOA also. I don't ever want to claim to know it all. So, it's been super slow, and everybody told me that in the beginning, but I didn't really realize. And I also had 4 babies, Raution, so that was very distracting during the growth and figuring things out. And I started the agency from scratch. So 14 years at 5 million in production, almost a million in revenue. I mean, it's not where I wanted to be. I wanted to be at 15, 20 million. And I think the next 10 years are going to, I really can focus now that my kids are older. They don't, I'm not getting pregnant, having baby, taking maternity leave, getting pregnant, having baby, taking maternity leave, because that seemed like the
Yes.
first half of this journey. But I actually have been really blessed that we're so heavy and personalized with COVID happening and going through a recession, about to be through in another recession. I've been excited that I am where I am because and heavy and personalized because it's protected us. And a lot of people say don't put all your eggs in one basket. We haven't. We do have a decent amount of referral partners, but we also have a decent book. But I feel like what I really have focused on is my staff and
Yep.
having and focusing on my staff, everything else just kind of falls into place. And then having them help me come up with the values and having them help me come up with the brand, having them help me come up with a mission statement, having them help me come up with a vision, which I mean, that's one of your questions. don't really, I'm going to kind of let God control that. We're a
Yeah.
faith-based agency, and I don't really know where this ship is headed, but I think I do. I know what I want for them, though. I want them all to make six figures. I, and I'm really focused on it, and I want them all to be happy here. And if you're not happy here, let go. But it's taken a second to get there. It's taken a second to find that. It's like dating, right? You're kind of like, okay, that's not what I want, and then they leave, and then you get somebody else, and you think you want some experience, you think you want insurance experience, and I don't. Those habits are so hard to break, and when people come to me in the industry, I'm kind of like, um, we can talk.
Yes.
Let's talk.
No, it's
But
amazing. I like
yeah,
the storyline that you're holding on to, which is, hey, there was a balance. I grew this agency being intentional. I knew exactly what I want, and so growth was not the only criteria I was looking at.
right, right. Yeah, it's the culture is so important, and so many talk about that. Like so many of the speakers that the guy talks or the IAOA talks about how important your culture is and how to create a culture and how that's foreign to people, but it's natural to me because I am such a people person. It's about relationships, and so I think that's what we've built the agency off of is relationships, and we're about to really platform off and springboard off a lot of the relationships that we just haven't capitalized on in the past. Because honestly, too, Raution, I've been a little scared not having all the carrier partners in place, all the technology in place, like to open the floodgates. And now I'm ready to open the floodgates. And I
Nice.
think we're about to. I told, a few of my friends that I have my sights on that I'm coming for you. You feel me behind you?
Oh,
Like
man.
I'm sprinting, and they're like, "Oh gosh,
So any of our carrier partners listening to it, now you know who you want to connect with, which
yeah,
agents are going to be growing.
yeah,
So that's awesome.
yeah."
Um, Talk to me about what has been the biggest challenge so far in growing your agency.
Um, there's lots of challenges. That's so hard, right? It's like an interview question. They're like, "Tell me one strength." You're like, "Ooh, I have a lot of strengths." Tell me one weakness. I'll tell you the biggest challenge today is finding people.
Yes,
I don't
yes.
know what's going on. People like have just changed who they are after COVID, or
Yeah.
I mean, I've had some stuff happen recently that have just blown my mind the way that people act. We just had a tough time. Usually, it hasn't been this hard in the past. I'm hiring for three positions right now. I want a life only agent, a PNC agent, and another account manager. And we did some job shadows today, and I haven't gotten feedback from my staff, but I can just tell by the energy. It's kind of like, meh,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I interview them, Whitney interviews them, then they do a job shadow with my staff, and then I have a consultant interview them, and then I make an offer. Um, and a lot of them don't make it through the job shadow. But
Well,
we're picky. These are people like we're really close to and you work with every day.
yeah, I
Working.
would say you are fortunate that you're
Mm-hmm.
getting to a point of job shadow, as InsuredMine has been growing and we hire literally on weekly basis.
Mm-hmm.
And so, which means so much of interviews and so much of recruitment, it's just mind boggling. And then, as you said, what, I don't know what happened to talented people, it just, I say, get me the tier two. I'm not even getting tier four, you
That's
know.
funny.
But that's the
Well,
reality, and we're gonna not settle for anything less. So it's just becoming more and more difficult. But hey, stay true to the cause, and you will find the right talent. but
right.
but I want to hear your story on how you recruit. I know there is some interesting spin
It
on that,
is really
how
cool.
you are bringing people in.
I spoke at the Big I conference on this, and I'm about to pass this recruitment tool tactic that I have because my nannies, they start out as my nannies, and that nanny position, it's just tough. It's not glorious, it's not glamorous. You're wiping butts all day. I mean, it's not fun. It is fun, but it's just it's not a forever career. It is for a very small. It's like preschool teachers, right? Like there's a very small percentage of the world that can be a preschool teacher their entire life. It takes a special person. I'll just say that. So that nanny career is 3 years, and my kids are 12, 10, 8, and 3. So I was done having a nanny, and then I decided to have a baby at 40, which was don't do it if you're considering it. No, she's my pride and joy. But So I've been through some nannies, to say that. And my first nanny is Taylor. She works in the agency. She's quickly becoming my top producer. Actually, she's my second nanny. My first nanny was Holly Quinn, who, I mean, it's like there's been a death in the family. She's my first employee, long-term employee of 10 years to ever leave. And there's that, I could unpack that for days, but she might watch this, so I'm not going to go there. But it was like a death in the family. It really was. Like, and we don't talk. She doesn't talk to anybody in the agency. We're not friends on social media anymore, not by our choosing, but by hers. And it breaks my heart. Um, so that was tough. But she was my first nanny. And then Taylor was my nanny. She's my nanny for 5 years, I think. And
So how many
she's
of those are still with your
awesome.
agency?
I have currently, well, if you count my mom, who kind of did some nannying for me, then Holly, Taylor, um, Whitney, and then Giovanna is the sister of my current nanny. So really five.
Uh,
And then, my banker at Truist, I plucked her from banking because I loved her service, and now she's selling. That's Crystal. Leanne called into the agency. Whenever somebody calls and asks for a job, I love that. I'm like, yeah, we're hiring.
yeah, yeah.
We weren't at the time, but and then Katie was. I have three of my employees' husbands are firefighters, and they hear all the time about people looking for jobs. And it's another spouse of a firefighter. She came from the restaurant business. So, and then the two that I'm looking at right now, my massage therapist daughter. I have a really bad neck from gymnastics, and so I have a Jamaican massage therapist. He's also a chef, so he does some catering for us. His daughter just went through the interview process. Well, she job shadowed today. And then the second one is kind of a friend of a friend from, she was a stay at home mom for a few years. And so I can teach anyone insurance. I look at their character, values, and I measure them up. Are they a resounding yes in all my values? And I learned that from Gene and Insurance at Gold, and Matt and Molly taught me that. Find your values and then match people to those.
Nice. It's not the skill, but the will to deliver on the job.
That's the skill, but the will. I like that.
Awesome. Yep.
Did you coin that phrase, Raution?
I come up with these.
You do. The skill, but the will. I'm gonna write.
All right.
I'm
Um,
literally writing that down.
and I use that almost in all the job interviews I do, and I completely subscribe to that idea. I can teach you the skill, but I cannot motivate you enough to have that will, so that is what you got to bring to the table. And but back to your point, I like the idea how it's a lot of close knitted network. That's where you're
Mm-hmm.
getting most of your employees, and and it's doing a tremendous favor to you, by building
Mm-hmm.
that. That's
Well,
great. So let's expand that challenge to more from a person perspective, more as a leader, as a CEO, and a female CEO perspective. How does that change? Is would it have been different if you would have been somebody different? The challenge because who you are.
yeah, I was on your women of
Yeah,
insurance
insurance.
um, little training tips and tricks, whatever. And I do consider it a privilege to be a female. And I kind of like being the minority because I like being special and standing out.
Yeah, of course.
So, we definitely can in the industry, but I feel like there's more and more women in the industry, and I'm just attracted to females. Again, it's kind of like dating. We haven't found the right man to come work for us yet. So, but I think they're a little intimidated by us too. Oops, I didn't
Right.
mean to do that. So yeah, I think women can bring a lot to the table. But the thing I understand about women and what I think they're attracted to me is that I understand when you got a sick baby at home. I understand when your kid needs you at their baseball practice. I understand the first things in life that you don't want to miss for some stupid job. Like you don't want to miss those things. Go do that. Did you get your? I literally say, did you get your shit done today? Okay,
Yeah,
go. Like
yeah.
that's all I care about. Just get your stuff done and go and conquer the world,
That's
And you
so.
can have the balance, but it's finding the perfect balance too. So anyway, I mean, back to being a female in the industry, like it doesn't matter your gender. It doesn't matter your race, ethnicity, age either. That's a big thing these days. Um, that doesn't matter. I'm a 21-year-old stuck in a 43-year-old's body. So I identify as a 21-year-old, so
Good.
there.
Uh, I am the first one to endorse that.
Yes.
Your energy, as I say, is infectious, you know.
Oh, oh, thanks. It's fun. I definitely have my downtimes too, though, Raution. Like I sleep hard. My head hits the pillow, and I'm like ugly drool,
Oh my God. I don't
retainer
know how
in,
to visualize that, but yes.
makeup.
Well, um,
But I think it's a privilege to be a female in the industry. Honestly, that's how I look at it. It's all about your attitude towards it.
So again, the intent of this podcast is always, so we try to just bring in CEOs, and we want to limit it to 30 minutes, as we know, how valuable
Hmm.
time is. So we want to just power pack that 30 minutes so people have enough out of it. And
Hmm.
obviously, a lot of agency employees always look up to those CEOs and, hey, how can I be one of those down the line?
Hmm.
Right?
Hmm.
So those, or the aspiring CEOs or small agency CEOs who wants to grow up and who look up to you, what would you advise to them how to get there?
Mm. I think there's a few things. One, you said something a minute ago that made me think about, you know, the biggest challenge I face, and that as female, and a lot of us in the CEO role or the leadership role have a hard time delegating, and so they're not going to do it as best as you, but you might also find that they do it better than you. But you think, I can't delegate this because I do it the best. Yes, you can. Give them a try. And I've had to do that through maternity leave 4 times. So I'm like, I can't do it. I got this little human I got to keep alive. So I need you to do it. And that's forced me to delegate. So that's been a blessing when I didn't realize that piece of it and delegating. And I just talked to another friend of mine that usually goes to IO conferences, and he literally said, Brent Farley, shout out, love you, man. He was like, this is my first week not selling, not being on the front lines. Pray for me, because that's hard to give up that frontline interaction with the clients and delegating things that you need to get off your plate. So I would say find a mentor who can encourage you to do those things. And I kind of got away from having a mentor, and so now that I have one again, it's been really impactful for me is having that mentor. Two associations that I wish I had joined, well, three now. I wish I had joined sooner. Our Chamber of Commerce, our local Chamber of Commerce, I mean, can give you so much feedback on just being a business owner and how they can help you in the community. Joining our association, I've noticed some states have great ones, some states not so great ones. The Big I, Independent Insurance Agents of Georgia, is phenomenal. They do a great job really supporting, especially new agencies. And then the last one is IAOA. It's a closed Facebook group. All you got to do is be an independent agency owner, and you're in. Like 3 questions. And then they do conferences. Go to the conferences. Take time away from your office to go and learn, share, but come back and implement 2 things. That's what we do. Always 2 things from a conference we'll implement
Awesome. Awesome. That's
minimum.
good to hear. So now that's a good segue now, because of all this learning from the conferences and your networks and associations.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us about the three things that we put together, which is people, process, technology, that you bring to your organization, through these learnings.
So I started my agency paperless in 2008, which was kind of a thing of the past. I was talking with travelers yesterday, and I despise paper. Even when somebody comes in with mail, I'm like, "What are you doing? I hate paper." They're like, "It's a bill." I'm like, "Scan and email it to me." I hate paper. I literally hate paper. There's a time and a place for it. But so technology, embrace it. Like our customers want it, and that's what I learned from Tony Robbins. what is your um, what is your ideal client, and what do they want? Like, what do they want? And our clients want insurance to be easy and click of a button. And so, connecting that, and really, and our referral partners too, like, what do they want? They want help getting new clients. So go out to your referral partners and help them get new clients, and you'll make yourself super valuable. Um, so we want it to be a place where they enjoy calling us, like, oh, yay, I get to call my insurance agent today, or oh, yay, I get to connect with Melissa today. We want to make it the happiest call of the day with all people. So I think that really helps connect. And then, just like hiring, being slow to hire and quick to fire, do that with technology too. And I'm guilty of not doing that recently. I'm not going to mention names because I know y'all endorse some of the ones we're having to fire, but if it's not a good fit for your agency, it's not a good fit, and that, cut the cord. Just do it. just do it. And, you'll thank yourself eventually. And a lot of times it'll save you money and time because, you're trying to fit a square peg in a round hole with whatever system or whatever technology it is, or you're just paying for it and not using it, which is also a big old fat waste.
So let's double click on that. That is a very natural thing that happens. They go and buy this because they believe it was well sold to them and they bought it
Hmm.
well with a good intention, but just never implemented. What do you guys do differently to make sure what you acquired as a software is implemented within your agency? Like you guys did a phenomenal job with InsuredMine, for example.
Well, it's relationship too. Just because you're paying for a service doesn't mean it can't be a win-win. And so relationships, it's getting a good relationship. We got to know you, Raution. We got to know Tucker. We got to know Kiara, and now we're getting to know back-end support really well. And same with my carrier partners. Like if I'm going to partner with a business, if I'm going to pay for something, or somebody is asking for if I'm asking somebody to pay, it's going to be a win-win. Like I'm going to give them what they need, and they're going to get what we want to be easy to do business with. And that's it too. My team knows when I implement something, I've researched it, researched the hell out of it. I've or my team has researched it for me, which I love that Whitney does that for me. And we've asked for references, just like we do with hiring. So we've asked for feedback, and a lot of times you can do that really quick at a conference. With know the technology you want, go to the conference, talk to people, do the demo, but then also continuing to demo too throughout the process. For instance, Raution, like I want to do another demo with InsuredMine to see what you're selling today to people to see if are we using all those tools. And I did that with some of our other vendors. Like what are you pushing today as your big shiny object, and are we using that? I sure hope so. Because there is some overlap with technology too, and connecting those dots.
Do you identify somebody specific within your organization? Hey, this is now your job to implement insured mine or whatever that technology may be.
Yeah, in fact, I hope Whitney listens to this, but she gets bonuses depending on how the implementation went and how the reception of it. Because I did Velocify was a non-insurance specific software. It was kind of like Salesforce, and it went over in the agency like a fart in church. Like it was bad. Nobody accepted it. It was so bad.
To beat that part.
Oh my gosh. And I was like, come on, guys, just use the system. But InsureMine, I mean, I think that says something also about the software too, or whatever piece of technology it is. But if you're excited about it, if the implementation team is like, this is going to be so fun, you're going to love this, let me show you what it's going to do for you. And then they're like, you almost do a demo back to them. But that's what whenever I get a new, I'm like, so tell me about support, because I am big on, I don't want to be the support person in the agency, and I don't want that to be on Whitney either. Or yes, so identify somebody in the agency for sure, and bonus them based on the acceptance rate of it.
Awesome. No, that's a key point, and I appreciate that you sharing. And I use this as a case study. You guys, Delay Insurance, and
Aw,
several of them. That it's important to have a sponsor on the top of the agency, like a CEO who is sponsoring this. But then you also need a champion within an agency,
right.
and that's the person who is the go-to person within the agency to push this through.
Yes, and we had Whitney that implemented it and did all the behind the scenes things, and then launched it to the team. But then Taylor was first. She loves data, and she's great at data entry, and she was the first to like embrace it. But then I was very surprised the other ones that fell behind, like that got on board quickly, and it was like, and we started saying, if the lead's not insured, mine, it's not yours. And people are like, oh damn, like that's when they started really embracing it. So.
My biggest challenge in this podcast is to be within that 30-minute time frame.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I'm going to
We're
breach
wrapping up.
it, guys.
29, 17,
I
18,
know, but I
19.
got a couple more questions. I want to make sure
Yeah, no,
we
you're
go through.
good.
Yeah, one, you just mentioned about data. How are you guys leveraging data within your agency? What are some of the key data points that you guys look at?
Well, that's why we embrace InsuredMine. Some of our systems and companies that we use, it's so hard to extract your data. And you're like, this report's telling me this, but this one's telling me this. Which one's right? And InsuredMine really did, and not a shameless plug. Raution did not ask me to say this, but InsuredMine has made that so simple. Like, click. A carrier's like, how much do you have with this company? I'm like, click, that many. How many customers do you have? Click. Like, it's so easy. And trying to do that before with, another piece of software was I had to have an IT degree, even to generate the report, like even to design it. Oh my gosh, that was so hard. So data is so important, but crap in, crap out. So I really state that with my team, and we're trying to eliminate dual and triple entry too. But take your time, slow down when you put it in the system, make sure it's right, because an I in an email address versus a one can make a world of difference.
Yep,
Email's
yep,
not going to get there.
yep.
So, those two pieces, I really try and highlight like these pieces of information are key, but data is so important, but seeing your data is even more important. And knowing your data, like you can't be a CEO and not know your numbers. I love spreadsheets, I love reports, but don't ask me to design them or generate them because you might as well kill me now.
No, I appreciate that. Last but not the least, again, I have 20 other questions, but and you know how much I love just having
We
this
can talk
interaction.
offline, Rush.
Yes, yes. What's your end game? Or should I, as I say it, start with end in mind? What is that for you?
I feel like it changes often, to be completely honest. So, of course, I built this agency for my children. It's my first baby. It's my pride and joy. I'm very proud of it. It has my name on the building, my name on the sign outside, my name on the business card. So, um, I hope that one of them's going to want it, but they might not. So that's what's cool right now about, I think I want to get into the M&A game a little bit, a little merger and acquisition action. I hope to start happening, but then also I'm kind of designing and changing my compensation structure where we're going to have an outside sales team, an inside sales team, and a customer service team. Um, and my outside sales team will have some ownership in the agency too, where I can offer a compensation plan that says when you get to $1 million book of business, you get 10% ownership in the agency or of that book of business and start paying. So we're designing those comp plans right now. So that if one of my children doesn't want it, I can say, well, y'all can take your book of businesses and go, or create some sort of ESOP type gig, or sell it. So the ship is headed towards one
Grow.
of those options. But that all of those options mean super profitable business, the right carriers partnered, the right vendors partnered, the right employees. So with all those, we're laser focused on profitable, good business. What's our ideal client, and how do we make them raving fans?
Well, I could not have asked you to do a better job of
Oh,
unbundling so much in this 33 minutes. This was awesome.
thank you. Oh, it was so fun. You ready for
Yes.
TikTok?
Uh, Guys, that's another piece. If you did not know, go to
You're like,
Stallings
and our time's up.
for the TikTok thing because these guys are just queens of TikTok.
Oh gosh, I don't know about that, but we try.
Yes, awesome, awesome. With this, we wrap up this podcast. So thank you, Missy, for joining us and sharing all your insight and your journey of this 16 plus years in insurance. So thank you, and we hope to have you back on one of our later podcasts. Thank you.
Yes, I hope so too. And just for the record, I'm no longer a podcast virgin. Thanks for that.
Grab that.